All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. And yes, let's go. I am so excited. You guys have no idea how badly I needed this win. I needed this win today because yesterday I was crying in my bedroom over trapped infant gas. I mean, I was deep in the postpartum trenches of emotion with no foreseeable end in sight. And then my luck turned on a dime, you guys. It is here. It is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Blake Lively has dropped two of her claims, and I'll tell you about the rest of them. So welcome back to Candace. What can I say other than yesterday was a day? I just had a day. You know what I mean? Tears streaking down my cheeks. I was Kim K crying. For those of you who have not had children yet or don't plan on having children, the first few weeks of having an infant, truly difficult. And one of the difficult things is that they are not able, like their stomachs are not formed yet. And so sometimes gas can get trapped and they're in excruciating pain and they're screaming. And my son Roman, sweet little Roman, was crying, screaming in pain for 3 hours. It got so bad, I called the pediatrician, and the pediatrician's like, well, there's nothing you can do. So what did I do? I just started crying. I just started boo-hoo crying. I just want this to end. Nothing is good. And then suddenly there was relief. If you've never cried over infant flatulence, good for you. Might not be relatable. But I was like, thank you. This is over. And then within 20 minutes, I get a text message. And I mean, things are just looking up. It's like a storm. And suddenly the clouds have cleared and the sun is shining through. The text message reads. And also, Blake Lively is dropping two of her claims against Justin Baldoni. I was like, yes, we are so back. I said to Roman, who was completely passed out and has no idea what's going on. But that was the person I was with. And I was so excited to read the article, obviously. Big news, Blake Lively has abandoned two of the claims against him, the claims that are pertaining to infliction of emotional distress, which means we are close, ladies and gentlemen. We are inching ever closer to the inevitable end of this lawsuit because that solitary allegation, right, the emotional distress, infliction of emotional distress, was perhaps the most consistent claim of her entire suit. Okay, I'm going to remind you, by the way, about those initial claims because we are now very many moons away from the initial filings, many filings away from that initial filing of hers in New York. So I'm going to tell you what happened. In the beginning, Blake listed 13 causes of action against Wayfarer Studios, many of which included Jennifer Abel, that was the PR woman formerly of Jones Work, and Melissa Nathan, who is the crisis PR woman. So if I said to you right now, just going back and revisiting that initial lawsuit filing, if I said to you right now, hey, what's up, guys? It's Tuesday. Let's play a drinking game. Every time Blake Lively uses the word suffer or mental anguish in this lawsuit, emotional distress in this lawsuit, take a shot. I'm not kidding. You would die. Okay? You would die. You would be dead by 6 p.m. Eastern. So let's not play that game. I'm just going to tell you the answer. In this initial filing, Blake Lively uses the term, or just uses the word rather, suffer 31 times. 31 times, the word suffer or suffering, some variation of the word suffer. She uses the word emotional 30 times and distress 18 times throughout this filing. More specifically, in the initial 13 causes of action, she refers to her anguished and emotional state in 10 of the claims. So in 10 of the 13 claims, she refers to herself as being anguished and in an emotional state, and she specifically asks the jury down the line, to grant her punitive damages because of that emotional state, because she was so emotionally distressed. She needs money, okay? And I'm just going to give you, here are the 13 claims in case you don't remember them. Why would you remember them? Here they are, and I'm going to go through the language here that she repeats in each of these claims. We have the first cause of action, which she lists as being sexual harassment, which is in violation of Title VII. And she says that she was discriminated against. In violation of Title VII, she was subjected to harassment and creating a hostile work environment on the basis of her sex and gender. She goes on to say that she has suffered and continues to suffer substantial damages, including but not limited to severe emotional distress and pain, humiliation, embarrassment, belittlement, frustration, and mental anguish, and is therefore entitled to an award of punitive damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Okay. Second cause of action, that was for retaliation in violation of Title VII. She claims that it was an unlawful employment practice for any employer to discriminate against an employee because she opposed their practices that were forbidden under Title VII. So she goes on to again state that claim over and over again, that this created a hostile work environment. And because of that hostile work environment, she has suffered and continues to suffer substantial damages, including but not limited to severe emotional distress, pain, humiliation, embarrassment, belittlement, frustration. Again, okay? And you have the third cause of action. She mentions it again, the exact same language. She wants those damages to be proven at a time in trial. In the fourth cause of action, she lists it again, that she continues to suffer substantial damages, including but not limited to severe emotional distress, pain, and humiliation. The fifth cause of action, this was retaliation in violation of the Californian Labor Code. She again repeats that she suffered and therefore must be paid for her severe emotional distress and pain. In the sixth cause of action, she lists it again. She's accusing them of failure to investigate and prevent the alleged harassment. But of course, because she lived through that, she wants them to pay for the severe emotional distress. Now, I will say it is not mentioned in the seventh cause of action. It is not mentioned in the eighth cause of action, and it is not mentioned in the ninth cause of action. Skylar, if you go back to the list of the actions, I can just show them. So it's not mentioned in 3 of the 13 causes of action, 7, 8, and 9. She does not say that she was emotionally distressed and therefore deserving of money. But then she jumps right back into it in 10 and 11. Now, these are the most notable ones because she's just dropped these, okay? The intentional infliction of emotional distress, that's the 10th cause of action, and the 11th cause of action, which is negligence. Because of their negligence, they inflicted emotional distress upon her. She has now dropped those 2 claims, okay? Then in the 12th cause of action, she once again substantiates that she's a survivor and she has suffered and continues to suffer from grief and anxiety as a result of the near overnight change in the public sentiment towards her. And then finally, in that 13th cause of action, she again says that she has suffered emotional distress and humiliation and shame. And okay, you get it. I'm going through this so that you understand how many times she has said that she has been emotionally distressed. So why is she suddenly abandoning those 2 most pertinent claims? Okay, those 2 claims where it just outright spells that they inflicted upon her all this emotional distress. And the answer is simple. It's obvious. It's what I said was coming all along. It's because of the phase of discovery, okay? Baldoni's team obviously are preparing for this lawsuit. She's asking for money. She's asking for these damages. She is saying that she's been so aggrieved. The language is so strong. I mean, it's a very dramatic lawsuit. I mean, even if you read the 10th cause of action, she says, and she's accusing this Jennifer Abel of engaging in extreme and outrageous conduct toward Ms. Lively. The conduct was so extreme as to exceed all bounds of that usually tolerated in a civilized community. There's how strong that language is. She is saying the conduct was so outrageous and so extreme that a civilized community would say this has just been, it has gone beyond the bounds of what we deem to be civilized. That's how much suffering she has lived through. And now she's going, okay, I don't want to say that anymore as it pertains to these 2 claims, because suddenly Baldoni's team is saying, okay, let's see your medical records. Duh. You're so emotional. You can't get out of bed. You're sick. You can't eat, can't sleep. Let's go through and see if you were seeing a psychiatrist at that time, a therapist at that time, maybe a doctor prescribed you some Xanax to deal, presumably with all of that anxiety that a civilized society would just be like, oh my, we've never seen anything like this. This is outside of the bounds of everything that we have seen. We've seen murderers and killers, but what she's living through here, this bad PR, yeah, no, this is the worst thing we've ever seen. So yeah, show us this. And they filed a motion since they asked her to submit that to them. Tell us who your doctors are. We will obviously file for a HIPAA release. She says, no dice. I'm not signing a HIPAA privacy release. And so Team Baldoni goes, what do you mean you're not going to file a release? You obviously have to prove your claims. So they go to the judge. They go to Judge Lehman and they file this motion essentially saying that they want the judge to compel her to sign a HIPAA privacy release. Sign this and you will then be compelled to share this information. Blake Lively's team then comes back and indicates, okay, no. We're just going to drop claims 10 and claims 11 altogether. So you no longer need us to sign that release. But we're going to drop that without prejudice, meaning we can come back and we can refile this at a later time, probably when we're outside of the discovery window. And Baldoni's team said no dice to this, okay? They went to the judge and said, that is ridiculous, okay? She's only agreeing to drop the claims, meaning that she has a right to refile these claims in the future. No, please force her hand here. This isn't fair. So obviously, Blake Lively's team does what they always do, and they accuse them of engaging in a publicity stunt, saying they don't need this. They want the motion to be completely squashed. They do not want the medical records to be compelled, and they would like all of this to be dismissed. And Judge Lehman has just come back, and he has very much decided in favor of Team Baldoni. He's effectively saying via an order, which we can pull this up, and you can see the language on this, which he has stamped, that he's not going to compel her at this time to sign the HIPAA privacy release, granted that he fully expects her to therefore drop all claims of emotional distress. Okay, he is committing right here that if Blake Lively does not go through with dropping the claims of emotional distress, he is not going to allow her to present any evidence of her alleged emotional distress throughout the trial. He will tell the jury, we're not allowing this evidence whatsoever. So this is a major, major win for Team Baldoni, because throughout this entire case, as we just went through, that means they've effectively butchered their entire lawsuit. So I'm thinking, if you're Team Baldoni, how are you going to respond to this? I was curious to see how their team would try to spin this as anything but a major loss. In the right direction for us. We're all rooting for Team Baldoni. And remarkably, Lively's lawyers, Ezra Hudson and Mike Gottlieb, came out and said that the reason they're dropping some of these claims is that they are just, quote unquote, streamlining and focusing her case. I'm not kidding. We're dropping these claims because we're just streamlining and focusing on other elements of this case. Here's the full statement, because I want you to see how ridiculous this is. It reads, once again, this is a routine part of a litigation process that is being used as a press stunt. Okay, let me stop you right there. They think we're so stupid that they want us to believe that a routine part of a litigation process is to drop pieces of your litigation. So you filed this and then you said, never mind, we're going to drop this, because that's just routine. People just want to waste money on lawyers. They want to waste the judge's time. They want to file all of these claims only to therefore drop it. Routine part of the process. He goes on to say, we are doing what trial lawyers do, preparing our case for trial by streamlining and focusing it. They are doing what they do, desperately seeking another tired round of tabloid coverage. The Baldoni Wayfarer strategy of filing retaliatory claims has exposed them to expansive new damages claims under the Californian law, rendering certain of Ms. Lively's original claims no longer necessary. Ms. Lively continues to allege emotional distress as part of numerous other claims in her lawsuit, such as sexual harassment and retaliation, and massive additional compensatory damages on all of her claims. Okay, so again, I want you to know they think that we're stupid by saying, well, what about the other claims that say something about her emotional distress? That shows that we're serious about it. No, it shows that you don't think that we have the capability to read the lawsuit. Okay, Mike Gottlieb, we're not that stupid. I want you to know that. Mike knows fully well that they now cannot win punitive damages for the emotional distress claims that are mentioned in the remaining 11 causes of action. But he's going to leave it because it would look ridiculous if they completely amended their complaint. It would essentially just be a major win for the Baldoni team to trump it. So instead, what they're doing is they're saying, well, we still have it in the 11 other claims, but it's irrelevant. They can't win it. But the other claims hold other allegations that they could, in theory, still win damages on. So let me be super clear on what I'm saying, because I can just show you so that it makes more sense. Just looking at this first cause of action, ready? It's for sexual harassment in violation of Title VII, like we said. So Blake's team, if you look at 234.234 here, they say, as a direct, foreseeable, and proximate result of this unlawful and discriminatory conduct, we have suffered and continue to suffer substantial damages, including but not limited to severe emotional distress. They know they can't win that, but that's not the only claim they're making. Go down to 236. In 236, it says that defendants in defendants of It Ends With Us movie LLC and Wayfarer intentionally violated Ms. Lively's rights under Title VII with malice or reckless indifference, and as a result are liable for punitive damages. So that's a separate claim, and they're saying we can get punitive damages under this claim, even though we're likely not going to win 234. So they're just trying to save face here publicly by not butchering the entire lawsuit, but this is a major, major loss. In fact, if I'm looking at this, I'm going, what's actually left of this lawsuit? If you're removing emotional distress, what is actually left? And what's left is the ability for them to prove that there was some sort of a coordinated PR campaign. Essentially, they can attach that alleged coordinated PR campaign against Blake Lively to lost earnings. Like, she lost her reputation. Now she can no longer be booked for movies. And we're able to prove that Melissa, Nathan, and Jennifer Abel coordinated with Wayfarer Studios to make the public hate Blake Lively. That's the only meat and bones of the case that's remaining. And thus far, and we're pretty far along now here, she hasn't produced a single shred of evidence to that effect. This was just her paranoia. This whole lawsuit was her being paranoid because she's so narcissistic that she could not believe that the public legitimately did not like her behavior. And so she cooked up in her paranoid head, along with her psychopath husband, allegedly he's a psychopath. I'm saying allegedly, a sociopath, whatever's going on. They cooked up this idea that it had to have been coming from PR agents, and it had to have been coming from Justin Baldoni, that he intentionally wanted to sink her reputation and in the process sink his own investment in the movie, which is pointedly ridiculous. So they are now going to have to try to make the shadows on the wall real. That seems like a pretty steep climb. And as I said, I think we are inching ever closer to having this lawsuit being completely dropped. But I don't know what they're doing here. I guess listening to their lawyers who are just trying to make the bills go up, right? Just racking up the costs here, which is what lawyers sometimes do. If you let lawyers, if you leave them alone, they will keep lawyering, and they realize that this client, her and Ryan, have unlimited money, effectively unlimited money to keep going through this charade. So they're going to tell them, no, we can file this, we can do that. And they're just trying, I think at this point, get as much money as they can, because a good lawyer will tell them, you can't win this. This is pretty lost. And on top of that, not only going to lose this in the actual court, you're also going to lose this in the court of public opinion, which is your entire reputation is being sunk. What are you doing here? Try to save face, but now they're too far gone. By the way, in addition to that, somebody, I think it was actually Skylar, my producer, pointed out to me that a lawyer who used to work for the Taylor Swift law firm, remember Venable LLC, has now stepped in. Her name is Ellen S. Garofalo. She worked at Venable LLP, a limited liability partnership, and she was one of Swift's former legal representatives from 2018 to 2021. She has now joined Baldoni's counsel. She is now Team Wayfarer in this lawsuit. And she said that she was compelled to join the case, quote, after reviewing its circumstances, feeling strongly that an injustice was unfolding and that her participation could make a meaningful difference. So you realize what's happening here? Now, that could just be coincidental, or it could be Scott Swift and Taylor kind of still saying what they need to say while keeping their hands clean. Because that's a move, right? She used to work for Taylor Swift. Now she's working for Team Baldoni. In a normal circumstance, if Taylor Swift really felt that Blake Lively had endured this harassment, her best friend, to whom she is the godmother of her children, Taylor Swift would have called the law firm. She's obviously got a lot of power. They're probably making tons of money off of her, and said, this can't happen. This would be ridiculous. Don't let this happen. She can make a phone call. This is kind of the writing's on the wall here. Taylor Swift is definitely Team Baldoni, and this lawyer is making a statement that I think you can really attach to the entire atmosphere and mood of Team Swift, who feels that they almost, got raked over the coals here because they were effectively threatened, allegedly being threatened to support Blake Lively publicly. And if you have to threaten your friends to support you, it's probably because you aren't telling the truth. Now, I got to tell you, I do not want them to drop this lawsuit anymore because we're getting it every day. It's just giving us a little bit more. And unless they do the full mea culpa, I just really want Justin Baldoni to be delivered a full win, and Steve Sarowitz, just a full and complete win. Because what tends to happen is people forget, and I think that this is the game that they're playing. They want people to get fatigued. They want people to get fatigued with the headlines, fatigued with the filings, so that nobody's paying attention anymore to how hideous what they attempted to do to Justin Baldoni was. That happens. We all deal with this. It's like we're very apathetic. We have a culture. It's so ADHD, right? We're constantly being distracted. Something else is going on. We're outraged about something else. We move to something else and go, okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it allows bad guys to win, right? Bad guys have a pretty good stamina when it comes to evil. I will tell you that. I've lived through these things. They have a pretty good stamina when it comes to evil, and they rely on the public to move on. And that's why in a case like this, when you have just like a perfect act of evil that was committed against a guy as nice as Justin Baldoni, you have to stay on it and you have to keep applying the pressure publicly. And so we're seeing this through till the very end. But I want to let you know, we are 2 down, 11 to go, 11 claims, causes of action to go before we deliver justice for Justin Baldoni. Before I also get into some of your comments, I do want to tell you that something that made me laugh so hard today, completely switching gears onto another topic, obviously, going back to the Brigitte slap and everything that's happening to Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte. There's a team, PSG. I'm going to have to look up. You guys know I know nothing about, we call it soccer, they call it football. I don't follow sports at all. But there are 2 players on the PSG team, and that's the Parisian team, the Paris Saint-Germain soccer team. And their names are Ashraf Hakimi and Lucas Hernandez. And Brigitte is sort of going down the line, shaking hands with the team. And somebody caught this moment where these 2 players, Ashraf Hakimi and Lucas Hernandez, are looking at Brigitte in a way that suggests that they have seen my series about Brigitte Macron. They're definitely asking some questions with their faces. Look at this clip. Look at these 2. So good. Look at them. Slow it down. Yeah, you can see the slow motion. They are just looking like, are you, that wig, kind of looking a little sideways. And so this clip has gone absolutely viral online. I was being tagged in it over and over again. I want to let you guys know that I saw it and I laughed at it. And there's so much going on behind the scenes. I do intend to do a Becoming Brigitte season 2 because, like I said, we left a lot on the table and a lot has happened since they made that ill-fated decision for them to send me a letter to my home while I was 7 or 8 months pregnant. And I have to tell you, I have to tell everybody what has gone on, and you're just going to be shocked. You're just not going to believe what I tell you. You're going to think I'm making it up. And I promise you, I am not making these things up. So stay tuned because Becoming Brigitte season 2 is going to be arriving when I'm officially back from maternity leave, not just popping in for fun stories. All right, I also want to throw it to my sponsors of today's episode, Goldco, because you may have heard that Ron DeSantis signed a bill that would recognize gold and silver as legal tender in the state of Florida, exempting them from sales tax. Yeah, that law is set to take effect on July 1st, 2026, pending ratification by the state legislature. Now, why did he do this? Well, Governor DeSantis explained it by saying, quote, "This is our ability to give you the financial freedom to be able to protect yourself against the declining value of the dollar." And I guess all that inflation and skyrocketing national debt, not to mention the recent credit downgrade for the United States, may have opened his eyes, because this is exactly the reason that I partnered with a precious metals company. The writing has been on the wall for a long time now. So if you want to learn more about how gold and silver can help you protect your money, reach out to my partners over at Goldco. They're a great company. I trust them. They've helped me out tremendously. Just visit CandaceLikesGold.com to get a free 2025 gold and silver kit. And you'll also learn about their unlimited bonus silver offer. So go to CandaceLikesGold.com. Again, that is CandaceLikesGold.com. I also always remind you guys about American financing because everyone is feeling it. Inflation. It's eating away at everything. Gas, groceries, home repairs. If you're a homeowner, you probably have thought at some point, should I call American financing to refinance and pay off this credit card debt? And then you maybe second guess yourself because of that low mortgage rate that you're enjoying. Well, listen, that low rate that you're enjoying, it's not saving you if you're drowning in credit card interest rates at 25% or higher. That's the math that no one wants to face. It's actually going to cost you thousands. And here's the truth. If you're only making minimum payments on that credit card, that debt is going to follow you for years. That's why people are calling American financing, because they're saving customers an average of $800 a month by using their equity to finally break free from credit card debt. You owe it to your family to see if it's possible. There's no upfront fees, no pressure. It will cost you nothing to find out what you could save every month. And if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. So call American Financing today. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. Okay, I am dying to see what you people are thinking. Okay, I'm going to jump into the comments section because, again, these are our shorter episodes as I'm visiting on a maternity leave. But do want to remind you that you can pre-order my second book. Finally, the sophomore book is here. Make Him a Sandwich. Just head to CandaceOwens.com. And while you're there, by the way, you can subscribe and watch the viral Harvey interview, me speaking to Harvey Weinstein. You can watch for free if you're already a member, or if you're just interested in watching the interview, you can buy it pay-per-view. So that is fantastic. Just $4.99, CandaceOwens.com. All right, what are your guys' thoughts? What are some topics, by the way, that are on your minds as well? Jumping into the first comment from Catalina. She says, "Hi, Candace. I was wondering if I join the book club now, if I have access to everything I missed before I joined." I think the answer to that is Skylar says yes, you can watch all the older episodes. So there is your answer. If you join, then yes, you can watch the older episodes of the book club, which we have kept up throughout maternity leave. It's fantastic. I just have to tell you, the stuff that we're covering, which I can't cover on the show necessarily, like we are deep in the trenches on conspiracy theories. Like we're just like sitting in there, reading things, going back into history, understanding what's being covered. A lot of it referring to the occult. I'm assuming that you've probably read the first book and you see where it's headed. But yes, you can join and you can watch older episodes. Okay, Catholic mom of 5 writes, "I guess Ryan Reynolds recently is backing away and blaming Blake for everything. I agree with you, Candace, so I think he was the fire behind it all." I haven't read that anywhere. Obviously, I haven't really been that engaged in the news cycle on maternity leave. It would be so fitting if Ryan is now backing away and blaming Blake, because as we have diagnosed him, and we've just seen his behavior over the years, and he is self-admitted to his own behavior, he never takes responsibility for anything that he does. There's always somebody else to blame. Somebody did something that was wrong. And yeah, he's taking a pretty big beating publicly because no one really realized that he was this vicious. People just thought he was being funny and that he was only cosplaying as a jerk. And it turns out that he actually is a jerk. And so, yeah, I could see him being angry and lashing out and blaming Blake and everyone else, probably his PR team, his lawyers, everyone. And I think he definitely would be the fire that is keeping all of this moving. Okay, Blee McKay writes, "This is silly at this point. And why won't she just drop it and admit that she lied?" I don't know. Too far in? She's maybe praying that the judge drops it so she can go, "Oh, this is, justice was not served here. The judge dropped this case and that's very sad." Maybe she's waiting for him to come back and drop the case. That's the only logical conclusion I can come to. I think in the beginning, they were pretty high up on their imaginary dragons, and she really thought that she could force Taylor Swift's hand, and anything, irrespective of whether it's fact or fiction, if it has the power of Taylor Swift behind it, it's going to have a lasting effect, right? We've covered that in previous episodes. And when that failed, what do we say? That was in like February when their relationship ended after the alleged threat. Scott Swift is the person making that allegation. I trust that he would not say that if it wasn't true. But yeah, I think that since then, things became a bit more bleak. February, things really heated up. And now they're just too far in, and they're going to spend a lot of money here, and lose their entire reputations, or what is left of their reputations, which is virtually nothing. There's nothing left. Vogsy writes, Candace, network with Ian. Oh, guys, I do not want to have a network. I absolutely love having Ian. I wish he lived nearby. I know some of you guys were saying you and Ian should do an episode every Friday. I would commit to that 100% with you guys if he lived nearby. I really do believe in, especially in this new age of media, that independence is power. And I never want to have somebody feel that they're beholden to my ideas. And I never want my ideas to be beholden to somebody else's. And I want to be able to have the freedom to say what I want to say without a system of checks and balances and having to run up to the boss. You know, I like that my husband's my boss right now. That works for me, you know? And I think with Ian, I want to encourage him and everybody else to be independent and to do what we're doing already. We're already teaming up, working together. Like I said, if he lived nearby, I would make it a permanent fixture. And I'm glad that you guys are enjoying his work so much. He's tremendous at all the deep dives, and I think he's great. I've been following him on TikTok, and he started in the grocery aisles, and now he's here, you know? Virginia writes, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the Diddy trial. Go back and watch that. Me and Ian did an episode, I think it was about 10 days ago, maybe less, uncovering all of the dogs that were not barking. And we were very clear, or I was very clear about what my take was on it. He was very clear on what his take was on it. If you guys pivot over to YouTube, and sometimes you think you can't see my videos, pivot over to the live tablet, the live tab. So if you go to videos, you won't see it, but then there's like the live tab, and that's where all of our shows are because we do this live every day. This is not pre-recorded. Rafi TV writes, I hope you know how many Muslims love you. Yes, I obviously, since I have spoken out and gone through a lot for speaking out over what's happening in Gaza, a lot of Muslims have reached out and have said how much it meant. A lot of people who maybe were previously unsure about me. And I hope that my values are coming across clearer now. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Anonymous writes, call me a Scott Swiftie. Yep, that's what I told you. I'm a Scott Swiftie. I ain't a Taylor Swiftie yet, but I am a Scott Swiftie. I love me a Savage parent. Alyssa writes, I said that about Ryan Reynolds weeks ago, Candace. You read my super chat on live on it. I knew he was going to throw her under the bus. You did. I do remember reading that super chat live. And I think I said the same thing, which is that would be his character and everything that we have seen. He is definitely not going to be a person who accepts responsibility for or consequences of his own action. All right, guys, again, reminding you, you can pre-order Making Him a Sandwich on our website. You could also get our anti-feminist merch on our website as we gear up for this book launch. I am going to say I'll see you in a week and a half, but I'm sure there's going to be some more news that I want to pop in on, some light news. And, you know, just picture me, if you're missing me, picture me crying over baby flatulence, you know, and hopefully it will bring a smile to your face. That's what I've been doing. I just want to be honest. It's not glamorous. It's not pretty, but it is the most rewarding job that I have, being a mom. So I'll see you guys in a week and a half.